We are here.
We're back.
Can we hear?
Okay, all right.
Hopefully.
Fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed we have no technical difficulties this time
Yeah, no,
around.
it's okay. Listen, thank you so much for taking time out of your vacation to do this, Lynn. That's so awesome. So
No,
we're
it's
very
no
thankful.
worries at
Yeah.
all. I'm excited to talk to you.
Yeah. So, okay, we'll go ahead and just jump right in then. So, Lynn, why don't you please just tell our audience who you are, and we'll upload this afterwards as well.
Okay, cool. So I am Lyn Allure. I go by Lyn Allure on the internet. My name is East Lindo, for those who don't know. And I am a YouTuber, content creator, founder of Good Girls Gone Boss Society, and I basically create content surrounding financial literacy and self-improvement and overall being the best version of you, especially using the internet. So just numbers are my jam, finances are my jam. I love just improvement, self-improvement, and I love educating people and empowering people. So yeah.
And it's actually really interesting how we came into contact because you were on somebody else's podcast, like talking about sort of how you diversify your monetary income from your YouTube channel. And
Yeah.
like someone randomly mentioned us in the comments, and that's how we found you. So it's so great to
Yeah.
connect. Yeah. Yeah, so I know that, usually we take time to really just discuss anything that's on the agenda. I know that you had sent through some things that you would like to chat through. So yeah, I
Yeah.
would love to know, just given that your content is all about being honestly just like a girl boss. I love everything that you create. It's just super insightful, and I think it's a really good, easy to understand way for someone that's just getting started. So, like with that, could you tell us a little bit about what your overall strategy looks like to make money?
Yeah, so I'm all about multiple streams of income. I know some people feel like, oh my God, we say this too much, but it's so crucial. You'd be surprised how many people only rely on that one source of income. So I consider myself to be a table. I've used this analogy multiple times. Each leg underneath that table is a stream of income. If you've only got that one leg on a table, if that collapses, the whole table collapses. And I don't know about you guys, but I am not looking to collapse anytime soon. So when you have multiple streams, if one collapses, then you're still kind of balancing on two, three, as many legs as you have. But I think especially with COVID, it just made everything so prevalent. Like how important it is to have multiple streams. So when it comes to the internet, I still implement those same strategies. I like to have multiple streams. So whether that's through Google AdSense, brand deals, affiliate links, referral bonuses, having my own business and using YouTube to drive traffic to that channel, I try to use different avenues online to make money, and I'm all about making money online so that at times like this where I'm in Cabo sipping some mimosas or something, I'm still able to make a living, right? So you just ultimately have that freedom. And that's, I think, what we're all essentially after, just having that freedom to do more of what you want with more of who you want. And it all comes down to having the options, so multiple streams.
So, I mean, that's interesting because I think, a lot of influencers you can see, especially this year, are kind of struggling because brand deals maybe weren't the same. There's a lot of in-person activations that were canceled. So I wonder, like, since you are, all about diversifying your income, do you think that that gives you more leverage and ability to negotiate even harder for yourself because you're not necessarily, like, tell us a little bit about that.
Oh, absolutely. I think with anything in life, if you don't have options, you start to operate out of a place of despair. So with brand deals, if a brand deal doesn't serve me, my audience, it's not a great fit, I'm not inclined to take the brand deal just because I need to make ends meet this month, or just because, I have a bill coming up that's due and I need to find the funds to fund it, right? So having different options just gives you that leverage. It gives you that ability to say, I don't want to take this brand deal, or I do want to take this brand deal. And it also gives you the option to take brand deals that um, might not necessarily have the right budget at the moment, but it aligns with what you're about anyways. So then you can take on those brand deals that might not have the budget, but they're still an amazing company with an amazing message, and you want to collaborate with them anyways. So yeah, it's definitely it's definitely important to have options so that you're not operating from a place of despair, whether you're doing business online, whether you're an influencer or you're doing a business in person. It's just good to have options there.
Did you like what was kind of like the starting point for you? Like when did you sort of decide that this is the lifestyle that you wanted to live? I know that you had mentioned like sort of not necessarily wanting to conform to that like 9 to 6 lifestyle.
Yeah, so I just actually recently graduate. I mean, not graduated. I made the transition from a 9 to 5 career to full time online entrepreneurship. So it was more so of a transition. I think people feel like one day you can just wake up and say like, "Hey, I'm gonna be like an influencer. I'm gonna quit my 9 to 5, and this is what I'm gonna do." But anyone who is actually in this industry will tell you that in the initial stages, a lot of the revenue you get is not consistent. You can have an amazing month. You can make $10,000 this month, and then next month you make like $3,000. So it's hard to budget when you are just starting out because everything's a little inconsistent. So it's something that needs to be a transition. I think um, I figured I could probably do this full time maybe a year or two ago. Or maybe a little bit before that, but I definitely knew that it was an extra stream of revenue for sure. And if nothing else, it was worth dedicating my time to because I was passionate about it and I enjoyed it. And of course, it brought in money, and that's always a good thing. So, yeah,
No, absolutely. And it's interesting, right? I mean, your entire way of making money is talking about how to make money. Like it's kind of it's interesting how that all goes full circle.
yeah.
When you're thinking about sort of like the education piece that you like to really share with your audiences, how do you see that sort of stack up to what is taught in school within the
Yeah.
education system? Yeah.
I think it's really important that we take that responsibility into our own hands. A lot of what we were taught growing up is that, you go to school and you get your education, and that's where the bulk of your education is going to come from. But when you think about it, a lot of what we learn in school is like fun facts. It's real nice to know stuff, the periodic table, pi, all of these things are like, it's cool to know, but they're not practical and things that you can actually learn or use in the real world. So we actually have to shift that mindset of like, I only learn everything that I know from school. You've got to take on the responsibility, learn about personal finances, learn about what to do when you make the money. Like, yeah, we talk about how to make money and that's awesome, but what do you do when you get it, right? Because you hear about people making so much money or like winning the lottery and then going bankrupt all of a sudden. So it's like, how do you actually manage that? And then aside from that, it's the self-improvement aspects as well. It's like actually having that self-confidence so that you can make these big money moves and that you actually feel confident and comfortable and empowered to become the better version of yourself. And school just doesn't teach that. There is no subject on self-improvement. There is no subject. Well, now they're starting to implement it and it's so, so amazing. And I love that. But when I was growing up, there was definitely not a single subject that taught me how to do my own taxes. I went to school for accounting, and that's where I learned about taxes as an accountant. But prior to that, up until the 12th grade, no, there was no course on that, no course on money management. So I think we just need to shift that mindset and understand that schools aren't going to give us all the tools that we need and equipment that we need to succeed in this world. And it also comes down to your circle. So we talk a lot about this in the Good Girls Gone Boss Society. That's my Good Girls Gone Boss family, where we talk a lot about financial literacy, self-improvement, using the internet to make money, and ultimately gaining that freedom back for yourself or accessing it in the first place. So yeah, it's really important to have that circle of people who you can refer to and bounce ideas off of and just share that knowledge with. Because if you're relying on school to give you those tools, you're definitely not going to be able to succeed much further than a 9 to 5 that you may like, possibly, but there's no guarantee.
Yeah, for sure. And so, can you talk a little bit more about Good Girls Gone Boss? I just keep seeing people in the comments dropping
Oh, no
GGGB.
way.
Yeah,
Hey,
so I was
GGGB
yeah.
fam. Yeah, so Good Girls Gone Boss Society is a group of ladies. Well, it's predominantly ladies, but everyone's welcome, really. And we talk a lot about financial literacy, self-improvement, and it's overall a support system where we learn. There's masterminds with other industry professionals, one-on-ones with me, group calls, group mentoring calls, and we just talk about different ways that we use the internet to make money. We do live trading, so we have a stock account in there where we buy stocks together, because so many people talk about investing. What is investing? How do you do this? And they make it seem like it's really easy, which it really is. But if you've never gone into it before, you might just need a helping hand, where like people who are on the same journey as you, because that's a component of leveling up or becoming the best version of yourself, that is kind of hard to find sometimes, to find like-minded individuals who are doing the same thing that you are. So we kind of go through it all together, and I share everything. I'm super transparent in there. There's like no holding back. I share the behind the scenes, what I use, what I don't use, my systems, what's worked for me, literally like screenshots of figures that I've made with YouTube and everything. So it's just a leveling up society, and we're doing great things in there, and I love my little family in there.
Well, it's great. It seems like everyone is sort of like, supporting each other. So that's great to see that it
Yeah,
is
for
such a
sure.
tight-knit community. I guess like, so for somebody that's just starting out on their journey with wanting to really make money online and really using that as an avenue for success, what would you say would be the very first step that they would need to take?
I would say, first of all, don't put so much pressure on yourself. Don't feel like whatever you decide to do right now is what's going to retire you and your family for the rest of your life. Don't put so much pressure on yourself, because that's when you start, once again, operating out of a place of despair, and we don't want that. We don't want you operating out of a place of despair ever. And then also just think about what you're genuinely interested in. What can you talk about forever and ever and ever? For me, that's money. I love talking about money. I'll talk money with anybody. So talking about like girl boss related things, financial literacy, self-improvement, that is easy for me, and I can make videos on that forever. For someone else, it might be fashion. For someone else, it might be, reality TV. People have made careers off of reviewing reality TV episodes, show episodes. So just think about what you're already passionate in or passionate about, and what you're already doing for free, and then just start from there. So just create content or put out bodies of work that surround what you're already passionate about, and then the money will follow. You don't necessarily have to have the total game plan from the jump on how you're going to monetize this, but it'll come to you. So just start with what you love and what you're already doing for free, and then later on you'll find ways to get paid to do what you already love doing for free.
And I guess more to that point, like what obstacles do you think that you have uniquely faced when trying to embark on this on your own? Like, have you seen anything there from your personal experience that you really have grown from?
Yes. Ooh, that's a good question, Brian. Look at you, interviewer. I think that
I'm getting
when
good
I
at this.
Yes, you're doing amazing. I love it. When I first started, I was really, I wanted to touch everything. I wanted to have my hands on every single aspect of everything that I put out. And now that I've built a team, I'm like, how did I ever do this on my own? So I've been able to kind of release control a bit. Still in an organized way, so that I still feel comfortable. And if something's going out with my name on it, I still am very, very aware of what it is. But just building that trust and building a team. In the beginning, I thought it's impossible to do something like that. But now that I do have a team and I slowly, released control, it's like the best blessing of life. So yeah, that's definitely one thing I would say I've grown into, but it wasn't there in the beginning when I first started.
So when you first started, so were you a one-man show or did you have a team and you were just more of a control freak?
No, I was a solopreneur, and I
Yeah.
think an aspect of that also is that I wasn't sure the um, where the future of the Lyn Allure brand was going to be. So it's kind of hard to build a team when you're not sure of that game plan. So once I started getting more of a game plan and I started having more of a budget to hire, I still was so used to taking care of everything. And I think a lot of entrepreneurs can relate to that, because when you do start your marketing, your operations manager, you're the assistant, you're handling all the emails, da 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 da. So when you finally do get that budget, you've been doing it on your own for years. or for so long that it feels foreign to have someone else do it. And you kind of feel like they're not going to be able to do it the way you do it too. But then I've also been able to use the skills I learned from my 9 to 5 and think about, okay, what was onboarding like when we had a new employee? You know, what was the interview process like when I had to interview people to join my team as an employee, right? So it's like you kind of use your skills from other aspects in life. And that's why I never knock a 9 to 5, because there's so much growth that you and so much you can learn from working in a 9 to 5. I would never ever knock it. It's definitely a part of my journey, but I know that it's not where I'm meant to end. So yeah, I definitely use like tactics I learned from a 9 to 5 and implemented that in my own business now.
Super interesting. And Nikki had a great question in the comments. So she was asking, what makes a great team for you?
Ooh, good question, Nikki. Okay, so I think you kind of got to use that discernment. You're not going to hit it out of the park every single time. It's going to be a hit and miss sometimes. But the same way you're super picky with like who you date, I feel like you've got to be kind of picky when it comes to, you know, hiring as well. Do you guys mesh well together? Because you're going to have to communicate a lot. And then I would also say to hire people who have different skill sets than you. So if you're an amazing writer and you copyright your emails phenomenally, you might not want to hire a copywriter as your first hire, you know? So hire the people who have the skills that you lack or you dread doing those tasks and things like that. If you're not a super analytical person, hire someone who's very analytical, very meticulous and organized. If you have a hard time executing creative tasks, hire someone who's super creative, you know? So hire people who have different skill sets as you, but then you guys still have a great, you guys have great vibes and you guys communicate great and you can get along with each other. You actually kind of have to like the people that you work with, and that's the benefit of being able to hire versus, you know, working a 9 to 5. But when you're the boss, you can decide, okay, I like this person, I want to work with them, or like, yeah, we don't really get along, this is probably not going to work out. So yeah.
What would you say is for you personally, what was the most necessary hire at first?
A video editor. That was my first hire, and I'm so glad I did because I love creating content, like just sitting down and talking about things that I'm passionate about. But then when it comes time to actually edit it, I'm like, oh my God, I procrastinate for days on end because editing takes forever. So that was my bottleneck activity, actually. Like to create content is easy, but to actually edit it, it was the bottleneck activity for me. So that was my first hire and the best hire thus far.
Super interesting. Okay, so tell us about what's next for you. Like what's in
What's
the pipeline?
next?
Yeah.
Ooh, you know, I miss keep it secret until it's secure. So I have some
Okay.
things conjuring up here in the brain, but what's public knowledge, I guess, is the society. That's what I've been working on, and that's like my passion baby. And I'm really, really passionate about those ladies and the amazing people that are in the society. So that's really what I've been focused on for the most part, just growing that and cultivating that and adding a bunch of value there because I truly, truly care about that society. But then also growing the YouTube and just helping as many people as I can, because that's really what I'm in for. I'm basically trying to empower as many people as I can, educate as many people as I can, and just keep doing what makes me happy.
Honestly, I love keep it silent until it's secure. I think I'm going to start using that
I love
personally.
it.
That's a
Yes.
good one. That's like that's such a great motto.
Yeah.
Yeah, so and I mean honestly, like just for everyone's FYI, so we're collaborating with Lyn right now with MagicLinks to do a video tutorial for new influencers that
Yeah.
join our platform. Yeah, so great to see how things have come full circle. It's like no one can talk better about money and really like using everything to your advantage than Lyn. She's like the pro. So I'm
Oh,
kind of
that is so
curious.
sweet.
Yeah, no, we're so excited. I'm curious though, like I mean specific to like your different revenue streams. I know we sort of talked a little bit about like with MagicLinks, like where you find value in affiliate linking. I think like for us,
Yeah.
we have kind of a hard time sometimes because it feels like there's a little bit of a stigma around affiliate links, as if it's kind of like, oh, I don't need to do that.
Yeah.
Like what's your, like, how do you feel about that? Like, it seems like it's such an easy thing.
Yeah, no, I absolutely love MagicLinks for that reason because here's the thing, you're going to be recommending products anyways. When you are a content creator and you have an audience, people are going to ask you, okay, so what would you recommend with, um, let's use a beauty influencer, for example, a beauty blogger. Okay, you have like dope lipstick all the time, people are going to ask you, what color is that? What shade is that? And you want to share it because that's what you're here for, to share your beauty tips and secrets and things like that. So you're going to be sharing it anyway. So why not make a commission off of it simultaneously? You're already going to be recommending it, and then it just helps to have that extra paycheck come in without you even realizing it. Sometimes I get like emails from MagicLinks saying like, oh, a PayPal transfer is coming in, and I'm like, oh shoot, I didn't even know. I haven't created a link in forever, right? But those links are up in perpetuity. So if you're going to do the work one time up front, and then as time goes on, you're going to constantly just get little paychecks here and there, little transfers here and there. So I really love MagicLinks for that reason, but also because you get to see how much your links are bringing in for these companies, right? The transparency behind it. So when you're negotiating brand deals in the future, you can literally print out those reports and say like, here's the average amount of clicks that I get. Here's the average amount that, you know, my audience typically spends. Let's say it's a try on haul. Okay, my audience typically spends this much in a 3-month period. So it's like, you might be underselling yourself completely, or you might be overselling yourself. And it's good to know these numbers, just to know these numbers, you know?
Smart. I mean, we try to really promote that you can use our tools to negotiate on your own behalf. You know, like it's so powerful
Yep.
to be in control of your own data and your own numbers. And so that's all. Yeah, I think that's like a really interesting piece. In terms of, so like some of your other income streams. So we know that you, of course, have AdSense. That's been kind of like a mess this year with COVID. So again, like it's
Mm.
important to diversify. What are the brands that you love to collaborate with, and why? Like, I think like you're kind of an interesting niche of content. So
Yeah.
I'm curious who approaches you and like what motivates you.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting actually, because I found that, okay, so on a daily basis, I could get, I'm not even exaggerating, about 100 emails of like brands wanting to collaborate. But not every brand's a good fit, right? So like I'll get like lingerie companies, bikini companies, um, wallets, purses, and then there's the more tech side. So there's, you know, like the Monday.coms or the Asanas, then there's the investing side, so like the Weebles and the Robin Hoods, right? So um, my channel kind of varies, right? So I started off doing like a lot of girly beauty stuff. Now I talk more girl boss, finance stuff, but I'm still girly, and I still get a lot of questions about beauty related things all the time and fashion related things all the time. So for me, what motivates me and what makes me want to work with a company is if I actually use their products or if I find value in their products already. So I could do a try on haul. I work with Pretty Little Things often. So like I'll do a try on haul for Pretty Little Things, and then do a Weeble collaboration, which is like an investing app, in a next video, right? And then maybe on another video, I'm doing like a Monday.com collaboration. So it varies really, but it all comes down to what I use and what I'm comfortable promoting. Because if I feel like the product isn't going to add value to anyone who watches my channel, I don't want to collaborate with the company, because they're not going to get any value out of it. It'd be a waste of their time. But then also I'm going to lose trust with my audience. So it should be mutually beneficial. Like my audience should love it, and you should get some sort of value or return on investment on your end as a brand.
Okay, so we're just out of time, so I want to ask you one last question before we wrap up. If
Okie
okay, so
dokie.
back to the conversation of money. I know we've talked a lot about that. So for somebody who, so like let's just paint a picture. So somebody who's really bad at money, who is horrible at saving, has one revenue stream. I think like describing to like most people, it seems like honestly, what would be your like number one piece of advice?
My number one piece of advice would be to start budgeting. And a shameless plug, I do have a budget workbook on the Good Girls Gone Boss website, but you don't even have to use that. Like just recording what you're spending, because what doesn't get um, what doesn't get measured can't be managed, basically. So it's hard for you to know where you're spending the most money and where you can cut back on if you don't even know how you're spending your money. So I would say first step is just to get organized with your finances and start writing, like start recording your monthly expenses. Like, what do you spend the most money on? And then start assessing, is this somewhere I can cut back on, you know? So first step before anything is to measure your money, manage your money, because what doesn't get measured doesn't get managed, and you
It's like
need
I
to.
have, yeah, like this is, you have so I think like I'm ready for the book where you just have like Lyn quotes, because that's another one that I'm going to start using. Like,
Oh my God, I love
yeah, no,
that.
that's so good. Like they all have such a ring to it. Like what doesn't get
Yeah.
measured doesn't get managed. That's so like powerful. So
Yes.
yeah, well, thanks so much, Lyn. We are so thankful that you took some time out of your Cabo vacay to join us.
No worries. No
Yeah.
worries. This was so much
Cheers to
fun
your
talking.
mimosa. Cheers. Well, I'm drinking
Cheers.
water. I'm jealous.
Oh, yes. Stay hydrated.
Yeah. Um, you have a fantastic time on the rest of your vacation.
Thank
And
you
this is
so
the definition of
much.
a girl boss, right? You're on vacation in
Ow.
Cabo and she's still doing live streams
Still
talking
getting
about
work
managing
done.
money, just making that
Yes.
coin. So, yeah, that's awesome.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And when I'm
Well,
in
thanks.
Cali next week, hopefully I can come by
Yes.
the office and visit.
Yes, yeah, text me and I would love for you to show you around. So we're in Venice and it would be a lot
Yeah.
of fun to meet you in person. Yeah.
Yes. So
Great.
exciting. All
Okay,
right.
well,
Thank you
thanks
so
so
much,
much.
Brian, for having me.
Yeah, and thanks everyone. All right, see you next week.
Bye, guys.
Bye.